Hello, welcome to this video, and this video is going to be called Music as Therapy, right? Why do people make music, right? Why do they really make music? And when you put the radio on and you listen to music on the radio, you put records on, what was the motivation in the artist to make that music? What made them sit down and do it? What made them sit down and learn the instrument? Why did they spend hours and hours doing the same repetitive patterns so they could develop a skill base able for them to express themselves musically? Why would they do that? Right, there's all sorts of positive reasons why they do it, but on the whole, I think there's a big negative motivation for why most musicians make music, and it's the motivation behind most music that you listen to. Right? And that motivation is the want to have the attention of the world. Right? It's an ego thing. Right? You know, artists want to be successful. They want to be famous. You know, they want to make a lot of money. They want people to notice them. They want to be able to walk out their door and people go, that's so and so. They want to be successful. They want their ego supported by people thinking they're great. Right? Now, why would they want to do that? Because maybe they have a great big dose of self-loathing. Why would musicians have self-loathing? Why would they not like themselves? Right? And I don't know why that is. I think artists, to be able to make art, have to be addicted to problems. They need problems. That's the difference between a creative person and a non-creative person. Non-creative people are creative. You know, if their button bursts off their trousers, they will be creative and they'll find something in the room. Oh my God, I've got paperclip. Oh God, maybe I can. And they'll be creative. People are creative all day long. But creative people, they're different. They need problems. And if they haven't got problems, right, that want for problems will begin to focus on themselves. All the musicians and artists that are watching this channel are now nodding in agreement. Yes, the cure to that self-loathing is making creative music, making creative art, because when you're involved with that, your inbuilt evolved need, right, to solve stuff and make it better is then focused in real time on an actual event going out in front of you. You know, that's really, really important. And but also, if you do have some success and people start to go, we love you, and this is the imagined idea, right, for most artists. They think, I'll be really successful and everyone will love me and all the fans will be going, we love you, we think you're actually brilliant. And that will be a balance to the internal self-loathing. And then when the artist gets actually into the industry, they realise it's not like that, and you know, you're there for 5 minutes. Oh my God, who's phoning me up now? Oh, I'll get him later. Put me off now. Where was I? I was on self-loathing, wasn't I? Self-loathing, right? People think when they get into the music industry that will sort of solve that feeling inside them. And it can to some extent. But the music industry doesn't like that. He'll pick you up and drop you, and people will say you're rubbish. So you lose authorship of yourself because they don't probably have an idea about you, and that often that's been marketed by the music industry, and it's the wrong idea. And suddenly you're absolutely massively depressed, and your self-loathing goes to the roof. And this is why you have the 27 Club with all those people dying young, you know, because of all that. There's all that going on in music. But the thing is, we love that because us punters listening to it, we can put the radio on and we can hear embodied into that. All that angst and depression and anxiety is in the music. And for some reason, especially with music, is people like to feel depressed. It's one of the things that sells music. People like to be frightened. They like to be scared. They like to dip their toe in danger. They like to hear that turmoil going on within the music. That's what makes music great. So artists are really great at that, right? But working in the music industry, so often the motivator for most music is the want to be successful. It's a neediness. It's a massage of the ego. But within that, if we say 90% of music is about that, You know, people just trying to be successful, trying to be commercial, trying to create a fan base, trying to get people to like them. There is also 10% where music is created out of a need for that therapy, right? And this is the really important message of this. And I've tried to explain a little the psychological state that is there within most musicians, and that isn't there as a byproduct. It's essential to creativity, as I've just tried to explain. So if you are suffering with anxiety or depression, right, which is basically you finding problems in the past, depression, or problems in the future, anxiety. And if you've got an imagination, then you are able to catastrophize, right? And you will be able to take the future, and with your incredible creative mind, your ability to visualize, to feel things strongly, you will be able to route your way through to the most horrific catastrophe in the future that will then terrify you, okay? Now, me personally, I have suffered with anxiety for many, many years. At some point it's been under control. At the moment it's not. I am in an incredibly anxious state at the moment. You can't see it because when I come in here and start talking to you, the mechanism, right, which has gone wrong recently, suddenly works into gear, right? And in the same way as I love playing music, I love this game of coming in here and switching the camera on and just going for it. I literally don't know what I'm about to say next. And in this case of this video, with this music therapy idea, I've shot 3 videos and I thought, just do one about music therapy. It popped into my head, I've hit record and I am talking to you now. And I think it might be the people who like my channel, what they like is watching me, you know, basically see a stream of consciousness because it's real, right? And you see the anxiety that I have as a person embodied in front of you, right? You can see all the sort of existential angst that I have, the thoughts I have about the universe, how it relates to art, right? And all those thoughts which are positive but also can be really negative, right? You see that embodied here right in front of your eyes now. Whilst I'm talking to you, whilst I'm thinking about this, whilst my creativity and my intellect and my knowledge of music and all the stuff I've worked on for 40, 50 years, right, once that's all put into flow and I can get it all channeling down, right, I can feel that the anxiety levels, that's adrenaline, that's pushing me to do something, and it's not, in normal life, it's pushing me up against the problems of life. Life has problems. Right, and life is like a veneer of order. Behind that veneer is just the black world of chaos. It really is, and artists can see that. Artists have looked into that black chaos, and it is terrifying, right? And I'm saying this video is I didn't mean this to be so personal. I didn't think I was going to say any of this, but that is what I'm talking about right now. I'm not in control, right? This thing has taken over me and I am just talking to you, right? And I have got an idea, and the idea I'm trying to get across is how music is therapy for the artists. One of the things that I think frustrates artists, and why I'm a teacher, is if I can get away these obstacles that are embodied within the anxiety and the depression and self-loathing, if I can remove that for the person, and so they actually can go around the creative circle of making stuff, if they don't get stuck somewhere in that process and they can actually get the stuff out there and they can start to move around the creative circle, they will then be able to control their anxieties. And that anxiety or depression will be able to drive forth the music or the art. And by spiraling your way through that creative circle, you will then start to slowly create a body of work. No one's a great artist to start off with. You have to keep going around the same creative circle, learning by your mistakes. We all learn by our mistakes. And what artists do is they deal with aesthetics, which is really about quality. And so the refinement of quality is one of the most important needs for human beings, which is why art and artists are so important. Right, now, the reason I'm discussing, I've just spent 10 minutes trying to make an argument for you of why music is therapy, why it's really important, why we should treasure and look after and value our artists rather than treating them in the way we do, because they provide this brilliant service. And how do we do that? By funding them, by valuing art, by putting money into education, by not questioning in sort of, science and technology mindset of whether what somebody's doing has got any worth, to actually understand the value of art and what it does, and how without art there would be no civilization, there would be nothing, right? That's what artists do, absolutely nothing, because the idea of quality, the idea of aiming towards a goal, right, is what has made humanity what it is, all the positive elements, right? Artists provide that, they refine it for culture, and then culture moves forward, right? And so the job, if you could go to some young teenagers that suffer with anxiety, depression, and if you can recognize that what you're seeing there is the creative urge banging up against the wall of the world, right? And if you can release that and make that person make art, they will create new things. Now, I can't tell you what they're going to create. Nobody can. It's not like training to be an engineer, then you're an engineer and you can go and fix something or design something because you're an engineer. We don't know what they're going to come up with, but they come up with stuff, right? And that message is really important. Focusing on the therapeutic aspects of music is massively important, right? So, as I said, I've been having a difficult time recently, very difficult time. And one of the things that, and it's been caused specifically by things in the outside world. This is one of the problems with anxiety and depression. A lot of times we internalise it and see it as being something that's happening within us. A lot of the time that's not the case. There's things going on outside that you've got no control of, that people aren't listening, and you can't affect that, and that starts to affect you, right? And that's a state of humanity that often happens, and it's often, I believe, rooted in the very devaluing of art as an important thing, right? Most of the time when this happens, it's coming out of that place, right? So one of the things that I have done over the last couple of weeks is I've made an album, all right? And the album has been not an album that I've made commercially. It's not trying to make an artistic statement. I'm not trying to do something that I think an audience will like or explore those ideas. I've literally come in this studio and I've just made music that's therapeutic, right? And the album is about to come out now, and I'm going to try and coincide this video with the release of the album. Now, not only is the album motivated from a therapeutic point of view, but it's actually within the meaning of the record. Now, when I finished the record, I thought, what is this about? And I thought, what it is, it's about me trying to get control of these chaotic elements. God, sorry about this. Trying to get hold of these chaotic elements, right? That's chaos. It's in my pocket right now, right? I'm trying to do this video. That's order. I'm trying to create order. I'm trying to say something to you which is logical and reasonable and makes a point. And I'm trying to take you on a journey and land you at the end of this video. Oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that. That's really cool. That is. But the world is outside. This chaotic element is there all the time, trying to undo you, right? Now, if I was too orderly, right, if I was too invested in perfectionism, I would take this video and I would edit those bits out, right? And the reason I would edit them out is because I don't want you to think that I'm incompetent. I don't want you to think that I'm just sat here making stuff up and I don't know what's going on. And my God, everyone else is just like, they've got these super smooth videos. This guy's just sat there and his phone's going off every few minutes. Right? But actually, if you step out, stop judging, and actually think, well, what is actually going on here? Right? You could see how chaos it's lurking in the background the whole time. It wants to come in and undo what you do. And if you can roll with those things, if you can take them and go, no, this is part of what's going on. I can remember I was teaching a student once, we were working on something, we couldn't make it work, and we nearly made it work, and at that point the computer crashed that we were working on and it was all gone, And they went, oh my God, did you save it? No, we hadn't saved it. It had all gone. And they were like really, really upset. And I turned around and I said, I don't think the song wanted us to do that. They went, what do you mean? I think the door, logic, didn't like that idea. I said, it's trying to tell us something. It's trying to tell us to do something completely different. Shall we try something else? And we did switch the computer on. And we had learned by going through that process, but starting from the beginning and going down another, and we got there much quicker. But that person was upset by the chaos suddenly coming in, the computer going off. Oh my God, it's not happening. Why is this happening to me? Why am I always cursed? And all that sort of self-loathing starts to trickle back in, right? I really believe the sublime is the integration of these two things, chaos and order. You have to integrate these two things. You have to see and exist at that moment in space and time. You have to look at the world. And when you make art, that is precisely what you're doing, if you're doing it well, right? But if you find that you're being too perfectionist, what you are being perfectionist for is because you are worried about looking incompetent. You want to look good. It's your ego coming in and saying, the people are going to judge me and they're going to not think I'm very good. Nobody does that when they listen to a record. They just don't do it. Right? They don't do it. They appreciate skill if they're those types of people that appreciate skill. But most people just assume that the artist, that's their statement. Right? That's what they think. Right? If someone sings deliberately out of tune, then they've sung deliberately out of tune. If somebody can't sing and they sing out of tune, the audience will go, why is this out of tune? It sounds a bit weird. But they will believe your intention was to make the piece of art. That is also a piece of fiction. Artists have no intention. What they do is they ride the wave. They ride the wave of the eternal now, channeling both chaos and order, time and space. They channel that down this line, right? And what you hear when you put the record on, if it's playing well, especially with jazz is the embodiment of this. If someone's blowing, they feel like it's an out-of-body experience. They feel like something's channeling through them. I don't believe it is really. Maybe it is, I don't know. But I think what's happened is they've suddenly stepped into a realm where these two opposing things are like working together, and they rarely do. Music's therapy. Art is therapy, right? If you feel, when you're listening to music or trying to make music, if you feel that perfectionist urge growing in, developing in you, and you start to worry, if you're worrying about it, that's usually a sign. Then you've erred too far the one way, and you have to pull it back. And I really believe that if you know how to make music from a therapeutic point of view, right? Now I came across this idea from Peter Erskine. I can remember reading a lesson, it was in a drum magazine. And the first exercise, he said, was basically to just hit the drums and listen to them without judgment. What is that a practice for? That's a practice for being in the moment and accepting the way things are before you start playing. And that was mind-blowing to me as an artist. To delay the judgment and just be and to just do. And if you do that, then these aspects within you suddenly integrate. Now, don't you think that's art? Don't you think that's weird that artists are not integrated in normal life and they're only integrated when they're making art? Are any of you who are artists that suffer with anxiety and depression, when you're playing, if you're on stage playing, do you have it then? This is one of the great, sort of contradictions, of somebody going, I've got really bad anxiety and, I'm finding it hard going out of the house and, I'm scared people are judging me, or I'm frightened about the future, I think I've got cancer and I might die, and all the things that anxious people have, right? And then they go on stage and people go, how can you go on stage? I can never do that and go perform with people. Oh, when I do that, it all goes away. Think about it. Think about it. Music is therapy. And if you want to check out my therapeutic album that I've just made, which was made entirely for me, right? Entirely for me. It was me, and it's done me some good. It has done me some good. I feel in a much better place for doing it. And I've been reminded that at the heart of what I do I need to make music. Not play the drums, not play guitar. I need to create music. It is my therapy. It's your therapy too. And it's the great motivator that makes great art. Okay, so that's my video. I wanted to talk about that. Please go and check my album out. It's over on Bandcamp. The link is down there. If you become a patron, there's a link to my Patreon as well. You'll get the album for free, as well as a ton of other stuff, right? You'll get a month's Patreon for free. At the end of the month, you could just knock it on the head. So for a certain amount of money, you get Patreon for a month with about hundreds of videos, albums. That's 25 albums there to download for the cost of less than the album on Bandcamp. That's the future of music. But if you don't want to use Patreon, because you don't understand it, it's frightening you, because you've got low-level anxiety, right? Then why don't you pop over to Bandcamp? You can have a free listen to it. You can stream it a couple of times, and then if you want to buy it, you make me some money. You make me lots of money. I'll become successful. Everyone will like me, and my anxiety will go away. Right, thanks for watching this video. I'll see you on the next one, and that's it. It's over. It's gone.